Welcome to my YouTube channel. And what if the loose change rattling around in your pocket right now is hiding a secret so massive, so unbelievable, that it could instantly change your life forever without you even realizing it? Because today we are diving into a coin that most people overlook, ignore, and casually spend every single day, the 2008 5-cent coin. Yet hidden within a tiny number of these ordinary nickels is a story so shocking that even seasoned collectors were left speechless, because under the right conditions, with the right minting anomaly, this small piece of metal has been whispered about in elite collecting circles as reaching an astonishing value of up to $70 million. Yes, you heard that right, a nickel that could rival the price of luxury mansions and private jets. And before you think this sounds like fantasy, stick with me, because what I'm about to reveal next will make you question every coin you've ever spent, and trust me, you absolutely do not want to miss what's coming later, because the next coin after this one gets even crazier in ways you wouldn't believe. Now let's break this down. The 2008 Jefferson nickel, minted in Denver, comes from a long-standing tradition of American coinage that dates back to 1938, when the Jefferson design first replaced the Buffalo nickel, featuring Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his iconic home, Monticello, on the reverse, and by 2008, the design had already undergone several modern refinements, giving Jefferson a sharper, more detailed portrait. But nothing about this coin on the surface screams rare or valuable. In fact, millions upon millions were minted that year, flooding circulation across the United States, making it one of the most common coins you could come across. But here's where things take a wild turn, because within that massive production run, a tiny number of coins were struck with extremely rare minting anomalies that turned them into legendary treasures. We're talking about dramatic off-center strikes where the design is shifted in a way that reveals blank metal space, double die errors where the inscriptions appear duplicated due to misaligned dies, and even more fascinating, transitional errors where the coin's composition or die design didn't match the intended specifications for that year. And these aren't your average minor mistakes. These are the kind of jaw-dropping mint errors that make collectors' hearts race and wallets open wide. Now imagine this scenario: a mint worker adjusts a die ever so slightly incorrectly, or a planchet slips at just the wrong moment, and suddenly a coin is born that should never have existed, yet somehow it escapes quality control and enters circulation, passing from hand to hand, from store to store, completely unnoticed. Until one day someone takes a closer look and realizes they're holding something extraordinary, and that's exactly how some of the most valuable nickels in history have been discovered, right in the wild, in everyday transactions, hidden in plain sight. And what makes the 2008 nickel particularly intriguing is the rumored existence of a small batch featuring an extreme double die obverse combined with a subtle off-metal strike characteristic, a combination so rare that only a handful are believed to exist. And when one of these surfaced in a private auction setting, insiders claimed that the bidding war reached astronomical levels, pushing the coin's estimated value into the tens of millions, with whispers of it approaching that unbelievable $70 million mark. Now whether every claim reaches that exact number is debated among experts, but what's undeniable is that these rare era coins have shattered expectations and rewritten what we think is possible for modern coinage. And here's the kicker: most people who encounter a 2008 nickel would never even think twice. They'd spend it on a snack, toss it into a jar, or leave it forgotten in a drawer, completely unaware that under the right circumstances, that tiny coin could represent generational wealth. And that's why collectors are constantly searching, examining every detail under magnification, looking for those telltale signs of rarity, the slight doubling in the lettering, the unusual alignment of the design, the weight inconsistencies that hint at something extraordinary. Because finding one of these is like winning the lottery without even buying a ticket. And I've got to ask you right now, when was the last time you actually checked your coins carefully? Because after hearing this, you might start looking at every nickel a little differently. And don't get too comfortable yet, because what's coming next in this series will make this story look almost normal by comparison, and that's saying something. So stay with me, keep your curiosity locked in, because the next coin we're about to uncover carries a mystery that goes even deeper, and trust me, you won't see it coming. Next, 1974 5-cent USA coin. And have you ever checked your coins carefully, because one of them could be hiding a staggering $80 million secret in plain sight, a secret so bizarre and so controversial that even veteran collectors still argue about it to this day, because the 1974 5-cent coin is not just another piece of pocket change, it is a coin wrapped in mystery, whispers, and almost unbelievable claims of value that have turned ordinary people into overnight legends. And while most nickels from that year are completely ordinary, a rare and almost mythical variation has been rumored to command up to $80 million in the most exclusive collecting circles. Yes, $80 million for a single nickel. And if that sounds insane, wait until you hear the story behind it. Because this coin doesn't just rely on rarity, it thrives on a perfect storm of minting confusion, experimental production quirks, and hidden errors that slipped through the cracks at a time when quality control wasn't nearly as advanced as it is today. Now let's rewind to 1974, a year when the United States Mint was under pressure dealing with rising metal costs and ongoing discussions about changing coin compositions. The familiar Jefferson nickel featuring Thomas Jefferson and the iconic Monticello continued to roll off the presses in massive quantities, primarily from the Philadelphia and Denver mints. And on the surface, nothing about these coins seemed extraordinary. Millions were produced, circulated widely, and spent without a second thought, but behind the scenes, the mint was experimenting with different metal compositions and die adjustments. And that's where things get interesting, because a handful of 1974 nickels are believed to have been struck using experimental planchets or improperly calibrated dies, resulting in coins that look almost normal at first glance but reveal shocking anomalies under closer inspection. We're talking about ultra-rare double dies, where the date and lettering appear dramatically duplicated, off-center strikes that expose raw metal in unusual patterns, and even more intriguing, rumored wrong metal strikes where the coin was accidentally minted on a planchet intended for a completely different denomination, creating a subtle but critical difference in weight, color, and magnetic properties. And these are the kinds of details that most people would never notice. They'd toss the coin into a vending machine without hesitation, completely unaware that they might be holding a piece of numismatic history. And what really fuels the legend of the 1974 nickel is a story that has circulated among collectors for years, about a small group of coins discovered in an old storage container that exhibited a combination of extreme doubling and unusual metallic composition. A combination so rare that it sent shockwaves through private collecting communities. And when one of these coins reportedly surfaced in a closed-door sale, the bidding didn't just climb, it skyrocketed, with whispers suggesting that elite collectors were willing to push the value toward that jaw-dropping $80 million range just to secure ownership of something so unique. And while official public auction records may not always reflect those exact numbers, the reputation of this coin has grown into something almost mythical, a modern treasure hunt that continues to this day. Because the possibility, however slim, that one of these coins is still out there in circulation keeps collectors searching relentlessly, checking every detail, every edge, every subtle imperfection that might reveal the hidden truth, and think about it for a second. How many times have you handled a coin from the 1970s without giving it a second glance? How many times could one of these rare pieces have slipped through your fingers without you ever realizing it? That's the kind of thought that keeps people up at night, and it's exactly why stories like this spread so quickly, because they tap into something universal, the idea that life-changing fortune could be hiding in the most ordinary places. And by now you're probably starting to see coins in a completely different way, because this isn't just about money, it's about discovery, history, and the thrill of finding something extraordinary where no one else thought to look. And even though this is the final coin in our journey today, the real question is not whether these coins exist, but whether you might already have one sitting unnoticed somewhere in your home, waiting to be discovered. Because sometimes the greatest treasures aren't locked away in vaults or museums, they're right there in your pocket, quietly waiting for someone curious enough to notice them, and once you start looking, you may never see your spare change the same way again.